And gearing up for another Exodus Pro Wrestling event in Cleveland. Bad Times on Waterloo. It's this Saturday night at Treelawn Music Club. And joining me here, we've got two of the event's features, Space Cowboy Stacee Alexander and Ashton Day, the Ultra Star, ahead of this weekend's event. Stacee, we'll start with you, man. First, recap last month's colder weather event. How did it turn out?
It wasn't as cold as we thought it would be. It's
Right.
colder now, I think, but it was good. We had a lot of folks out there. We had a good turnout, good show. I came in second place in my match.
The second of two.
I came in second place in my match.
You had a
I
mixed
mean,
tag team event, didn't you?
do what? Yeah. And I mean, there's wild cards in a mixed tag. We got the ladies with the ladies, the fellas with the fellas. This is going to be used for video as well as radio, so I'm doing lots of flourishes, making sure to. But yeah, I mean, it's wild card. You never know what's going to happen. We came up second place. I'll never say a bad thing about Heath. I couldn't. He's a gentleman, a scholar. He's a red fellow, and he happened to be the victor that evening. There went Ashton.
That's how it happens. Now, this weekend, the Exodus Pro. First, let's talk about the dynamic, how things have changed, kind of how things are progressing with Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, since Exodus Pro has joined with NWA.
It's been like, it's really fast and then really slow. Whatever they said in Fault in Our Stars about falling asleep and falling in love, really slow and then all at once. Running a social media for wrestling is super interesting because for the longest time, it's just people that want to work for you. Like we blew up after the NWA announcement on Instagram, but it's just guys that wanted jobs. So finally, in the last like 2-3 weeks, we've been trickling through actual fans and people that care to see people wrestle, other than people that live in Washington State that just want us to pay them $500 to fly over here and maybe wrestle in front of Billy Pumpkins. But yeah, it's really nice. It's what acquisition is the hardest part of business, and we're finally getting more eyes, getting more people, getting more ticket sales, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned Billy Pumpkins. Talk about William Patrick Corrigan, of course, of Smashing Pumpkins fame and of NWA fame. How has that presence been in drawing the attention to Exodus Pro and the NWA partnership?
He's the coolest. He and EC3 both, and I'm a Pisces too, but they're mad genius Pisces people. So they all have two personalities within them or whatever they say. But Billy's awesome. He sits on his piano bench and he eats his seaweed and he fires the greatest ideas you've ever heard or the worst ones. But he always has an idea and it's always going to help you one way or another. And he really does. Like, we didn't announce him for last show. He just rolled up. It's a 5-hour drive from Chicago. And he said to himself, I got nothing to do. I'll hop in the car. I truly don't know if he's going to be there Saturday. But yeah,
That's exciting.
show. Yeah, it's
That-
awesome.
yeah. Ashton, we're going to hang with you for a second here. You have had a big couple of months here, mostly because of your devious actions. I was looking on Instagram and I see this video of EC3 after last month's event, the colder weather event in Cleveland, and he's holding up his belt. He's after the match, and all of a sudden you come into the shot. And what happened there?
I kicked him in the face.
I guess that's it.
Yeah. Why?
In the face. I mean, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in Exodus Pro, and Stacee knows this too. A lot of things can get said, a lot of things can get promised to people, a lot of things can be misconstrued. EC3 said a lot of things to me and made a lot of promises to me that he couldn't keep. And not being in that heavyweight championship tournament was kind of my last straw.
And that you're talking about the Northeast Ohio Exo Pro tournament.
Yeah, the championship with the longest name in wrestling. Yeah, that one.
So now, after last month's event, after what transpired, you are taking on EC3, who was your former coach. at one point, and you're going for the NWA's World's Heavyweight Championship belt.
Absolutely. Right where I should be.
This is something that's been building up for a while. You talked about things have been said behind the scenes, but a lot of things have been said in public, and you made a statement saying that you've been kind of waiting for this and kind of planning this out. And how long have you been considering this as far as EC3 and taking the belt?
Well, I will say that there's a difference between wanting something and planning something. I've wanted to do this from the moment I met him. I can't help it. I mean, I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be at the top of this business. And the moment I met him, I wanted what he had. In terms of how long have I been corroborating this evil plot of mine, I'd say right after the first broken promise is when I knew I had to do something. I had to control my narrative. I had to take some initiative, because if I let it slide, then it's just going to keep happening. I'm going to get walked all over. I'm going to get walked on and pushed aside and held back. And when I get held back, I have to push back. I can't let it slide even once.
Ashton Day, the Ultra Star, going up against his former coach EC3 for the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship this weekend. It's an Exo Pro Wrestling event at Waterloo. Bad Times on Waterloo, Treelawn Music Club, Saturday. It's an early start, Stacee. 4:05. I love that Exodus Pro is branded as family friendly fun.
Have to.
Yeah.
Because if you can't bring the family, you can only bring one parent, or they got to pay for a babysitter. One of my dad's best takes, off the rails a little bit, but he always used to say, if you can afford this restaurant, you can afford a babysitter. Of course, he didn't say that to the parents. But the thing about wrestling is not the most expensive ticket in town. So that's not necessarily the case. Bring the whole family. We have recently instituted children under, I want to say 10 years of age are free. It might be 8. It's one of those. It says on the ticket website that I couldn't remember. But we also just dropped ticket prices altogether. We dropped every single ticket. We have $3 to $5 because we figured if we're in this for the money, we're in the wrong business altogether. And we'd rather have 500 people in there at $15 a ticket than 300 people at 20 and make the same amount of money. So yeah, fun for the whole family. We don't say swear words. We don't flip the double boo bird salute. We don't do any of that. We punch each other in the face. We kick our mentors when they upset us. At some point, I mean, Shakespeare does that too. You can go take your kids to see Othello and they're not going to understand any of the words, and there's going to be just as much violence. Guy gouges his eyes out in that play. Or you could come take him to Exodus Pro. There's no one that's going to lose both eyes at any show.
That is a guarantee.